a big shock to the system. It's raining, and raining very, very hard here in Australia. It has never rained here before in an LCR race, and it is raining here for the first time ever here in Australia. Absolutely incredible. And it is raining here in Australia. I cannot believe it. For the first time it is raining, and it is raining hard. The full wet conditions will be in use today. And if you are just joining us, where have you been? It's Scalar on pole position with JT in P2, with third and P3 on the intermediate tyres, alongside Tom and Amazed, all electing for intermediates, with Maloney in fourth, FRT Tom in fifth, also on the intermediates, Reclusive in sixth, Bourbon Boy in 7th, Mulder in 8th, TMS Amazed in 9th, Rev Caterpillar in 10th, and Leopard in 11th. But what a race we have in store for you today. A full wet Australian Grand Prix. This could be absolutely fantastic, but this could be a little bit of a shock for all the drivers here. And this could be one hell of a race coming up as we get ready to go for the 5 red lights, coming to you in a couple of moments' time. So we are now ready to go for the Australian Grand Prix. Full wet conditions, few electing for intermediates, but the rest of the field electing for wet compound tyres. Let's have a look to see the reaction, unless people decide to change last minute as we get ready to go in towards the race now. 29 laps ahead of us. Will it be wet to dry? Will it be wet all the way through? Will it be wet, dry, wet? This could cause a couple of incidents as we get ready to go on towards the grid, as we have a look at the tyre choices for everyone today. And it is only 2 people electing for the wets, and that is FRT Tom and Bourbon Boy, the 2 Red Bull powered cars. Intermediates for Tom, Bourbon Boy on the intermediates as well. This could cause a couple of thinking heads here, as we saw Jana Watmere trying the intermediate strategy in a full wet China in F1 Esports. Tom and Bourbon Boy trying to look towards the same, as ETJT already going off there at turn 4. And that is how tricky it is. And aquaplaning all off the track, going well deep in towards the gravel there. And this could cause some fire where it's going into turn 1 here. ETJT already going very, very wide in P2, but Scather will lead them away in P1 with JT in P2, third in P3, Maloney in P4, Tom on the intermediate compound tyres, and JT really is struggling here in these conditions. Tom on the intermediates looking okay so far, but there is a huge amount of puddling so far, and massive oversteer there from Tom. Let's have a look at Bourbon Boy, see how he is doing on the intermediates. They are grooving, which is a good sign that they are sort of working. But the wet tyres are probably looking better. We're right on board with Mulder. And once again, oh my goodness me, and Scather losing it at 11 and 12 on the formation lap. Lucky to not lose anything else. And Scather from pole position. And already, these drivers are not looking happy with these wet conditions. Bourbon Boy and Tom taking the risk on the intermediates. Could be a very dangerous risk, as JT loses it again on his reconnaissance lap. Scather at the back of the field with Sofern will lead us on to our grid stops. We're on board with the Mexican over here, but this could be a very, very intense race we have on board with you today, with Scather on pole position, ETJT from Fern, from Maloney, from Tom, from Reclusive, from Bourbon Boy, from Mulder, from Amazed, from Rev Caterpillar, and Leopard at the back of the field, as Scather leads us away. Here on pole position, there he is, in pole position now, setting up his car, and we are ready to go for the Australian Grand Prix. Lights out in a couple of moments' time. 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights are on. Red turns to green, let's go, 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 go. Fern and Tom cut the start already. Not a good start from them. And they're all aquaplaning all across the track. So Fern and Tom lead, but with drive-through penalty. So Scather properly leads us into turn 1 with Rev Caterpillar in P2, Maloney in third, and already a lot of people getting it right. ETJT already in the back of the field from second on the field, not looking good on these intermediate sides. Are they going side by side? Little bit of a hit there from Leopards and Amaze as Amaze goes off the track onto the gravel. They all keep it fairly clean as Amaze and Rev Caterpillar battling away through the ball baseball section. Ballboy intermediate on the intermediates doing okay so far in P7. Mulder in P6 had a good start with Tom in P5. Maloney up into P4 with Rev Caterpillar with Reclusive, in P3. Scather in P2. And Tom obviously losing it somehow there in P5, and with the drive-through penalties, he did cut the start. Also Fern getting it wrong at the start as well with a drive-through penalty to boot. But an absolutely fantastic start so far, which sees Scather still leading away as JT and Leopard getting it wrong. And that is Leopard in the wall without a front wing. It's not been a good start to his race, and it has not been a good race to boot, even in qualifying. Getting last, and that is not a happy driver right there. And Leopard plumb last there as ETJT trying to cut his way through the field from P2 on the grid. Not looking good on his reconnaissance lap, and definitely not looking good in the races. Yellow flags, and that is Fern off. Fern off in towards the last couple of corners. Had a drive-through penalty and maybe even lost his front wing. Maybe lucky not to. As JT and Rev Caterpillar, JT trying it round the outside, couldn't get it done. As they're all coming into the pits now with Tom and Fern serving their drive-through penalties. JT getting closer to Rev Caterpillar, having a little bit of a go into turn 1, but that was never going to work as JT getting closer and closer to Rev Caterpillar. Here's Bourbon Boy getting closer to Mulder on the intermediate compound of tyres. We go on towards the lap data now just to check what tyre is quicker. Scather on the wets obviously in the fastest lap with the lead so far. So we have a look in towards lap 2 to really see where everything is as Leopard retires from the session. We are down to 10. Everyone will get points now. Through in towards the right once again comes Bourbon Boy as he will fly through in towards the sector 2 and in towards sector 3. Here we come now with Bourbon Boy sticking tight to Mulder. A massive slide once again for the Red Bull drivers. And still ETJT and Rev Caterpillar continuing to battle. JT having a little bit of a look down the inside. Probably never going to work as they come in towards the left and the right. A big lock up there for JT as they come in towards the right once again, getting closer and closer to Rev Caterpillar. Just can't get it done. Bourbon Boy is getting closer to Mulder as well as they come towards the right. And there goes Reclusive for the lead. Down the inside he goes on Scather. Good work there from the Red Bull driver. Scather's going to fight it back, can't get it done. As Maloney pushing towards him as well as they come towards the final corner. Scather trying his best to keep up with the Red Bull driver as they come towards the final corner. Tiptoeing their cells through the corner there as they come in towards the fastest lap now. Reclusive with the fastest time on the board. Mulder now the fastest man on track. Doesn't look like the intermediates are working too well. As Bourbon Boy and Mulder getting extremely close together. This top 5 separated by almost less than a second. We have a look on the leaderboards. And the top 3 separated by less than a second. Absolutely fantastic racing. There goes Maloney down the inside of Scather. Not going to work this time around on the Alpine. And that is there. TMS Amaze going well off the track there on the wet compound tyres. Not working out for him as well. And gets a 5-second penalty for his troubles. Bourbon Boy looking much quicker than Mulder so far as they come in towards the right-hander. Bourbon Boy getting closer and closer to the Mercedes. Mercedes versus Red Bull. Where have we heard that before? As Maloney getting very wrong there and almost gets an overspeed. Look how much Bourbon Boy gets. Mulder down the inside. Shortly not there. Bourbon Boy will get both of them. Massive contact there as they go 3 wide through to 9. And Bourbon Boy may have damage. He may get lucky not to. Mulder tries to defend as much as he can. Pushing their way through. Down the inside goes Bourbon Boy. Surely not at 9. Not going to work as Mulder outbreaks him. Through to the right. But Bourbon Boy will have a nice switch back to go through. ERS on. Mulder getting much stuck here in the wet compound tyres. Maybe the intermediate's just starting to freshen up through into the outside. Goes Baldwin Boy, not going to get it done, but once again, a switch back in use for the Red Bull driver. Down the inside he goes. They're still toe-to-toe. Baldwin Boy versus Mulder, still side by side as he enter into the penultimate corner. There they are in the background. Mulder trying to hold it around the outside. Does he get it done? Baldwin Boy is through. Up into P4 he goes and getting the job done on the intermediate compound tyres. Reclusive 37.736. Baldwin Boy with a 40.075. Obviously battling, not looking good so far. 2 seconds behind on his lap. So a 38 was to boot. So the intermediates are a little bit slower than the wet so far. It's very, very interesting to see if they are going to be quicker in the first couple of laps. As Baldwin Boy trying to settle into a rhythm now in P4. He's got Maloney next to cover him. And this could all get very, very tight so far. And will we see a dry track to go to, or will we not, is the question. As Baldwin Boy getting closer and closer to Maloney. Once again, meanwhile, ETJT and Rev Caterpillar once again getting closer and closer to each other. The Haas currently in P7, Rev Caterpillar in P8. TMS Amaze the only man with a penalty so far. 5 seconds for cutting the corner. As they all come battling away through the left and towards the right of 11 and 12. Rev Caterpillar turn, does he get a run here on JT is the question. Not really, as he is using a lot of his ERS to try and get in front. JT not using any of his, as there's no point trying to defend. Baldwin Boy now in towards the second he needs. In Maloney, obviously no DRS as it is pouring down with rain, but it is getting a little bit drier out there. The rain is starting to halt a little bit, and there is Scather in towards the pit. So is it maybe time for the intermediates to come on? Scather at the end of lap 4 coming on in towards for some intermediate tyres maybe. Maloney now, Baldwin Boy the fastest man on track. The intermediates are time now in towards Scather for the intermediates, and the intermediates are now as Baldwin Boy and Tom may have timed this very, very well. Obviously Tom with that drive-through penalty has not got it wrong, and that is Mulder rounds at turn 2. Maybe facing the wrong way, but he is back up to speed now as Baldwin Boy getting close to Maloney. Round the outside goes the intermediate driver of Baldwin Boy, and these intermediates are absolutely flying right now, and that sends him into the net lead of the Grand Prix. Baldwin Boy has definitely done well to get onto the intermediates early and get the job done on towards the faster compound, but it's definitely going to be a massive, massive risk from the start, but it's a risk that has definitely worked for the PSR driver, and signs himself in P2 with a net P1, as a lot of the drivers surely will be pitting for the intermediates now as they come towards the left and the right. Baldwin Boy is going to rise up to the occasion now and get much closer to his teammate than he has done. Maloney doing well to keep up so far, but his time's just going to drop and drop and drop. Meanwhile, JT trying to battle with TMS Amazed for P4, and Maze still with a penalty. As Baldwin Boy getting much closer now, almost 3 tenths he's gained into one corner, and look how much he's gaining, 1.8 now, 1.7, 1.6 almost, and now Reclusive surely has to box, and he does. Reclusive into the box for the intermediate compound tyres. Maloney in as well, and Maze decides to stay out for one more. JT is in. Rev Caterpillar decides to stay out. LCR Mulder deciding to stay out. Tom on the intermediates as well. So a few electing to come in, 3 electing to come in, 4 electing, sorry, to stay out on the wets. Is going to be very, very interesting to see where they come out, and definitely going to lose a lot of time. And in front, surely, as he all pits off the intermediates. Reclusive comes down in P6, maybe even P7, as Scather is there. Does he come out in P7? Yes, he does. Scather gets the job done. Up in towards P6 he goes on his main rival. Reclusive has a massive spin out there, almost losing it on towards into the barriers, but lucky to not do so, as he's still pushing away on the Alpine drivers. They all come crumbling down towards the next left and the next right once again. Reclusive going very, very wide there, and these intermediates are not treating him very well in these new conditions. Through and towards the right comes Reclusive, still battling away with Scather, but not getting the closest battle he can do. He needs to try and gain as much as he can. Baldwin Boy still out there with TMS Amaze, Rev Caterpillar and Mulder still out on wet tyres. which will definitely be a huge risk right now. Definitely the slower compounder tyres. Is Amaze was losing 2 seconds into one corner. Reclusive now purple in sector 2, trying to battle as much as he can with Scather through it towards the left and the right as he comes crumbling through in towards sector 3 now. As Rev Caterpillar, meanwhile, getting closer to TMS Amaze. This time he doesn't pit. Rev Caterpillar pits anyway. On towards the intermediates he goes. Only 2 drivers left on towards the wets. And that is Amaze and Mulder. Make that only one. Amaze trying his best to stay out on the wets as long as he can. Maybe trying for the dry periods. Here comes Mulder and Rev Caterpillar. On towards the intermediates they go. And they strap on the fresh Seft. And they go again. Reclusive getting closer and closer to Scather. Through in towards turn 1 they go. And it's got much closer now. 7/10 of a second between the two in the Alpine and the Red Bull. JT with a 3-second time penalty already on lap 7 of 29. Through in towards the right comes Reclusive. On towards the curves. They come through the left. Once again, Reclusive getting closer and closer to Scather. Can he try and find a setup, a move early on in towards the laps? They all come crumbling down in towards the right and towards the left. Through in towards the right they go. Third gear action in towards fourth. A massive moment there for Reclusive as he gets onto the curves awkwardly. Through in towards the curves. Getting closer and closer onto Scather as they come towards the right once again. Reclusive trying his best to keep up with Scather there. In towards the left once again. Closing in on the American drivers. They all come crumbling down in towards 10 and 11. Reclusive getting much closer and closer. Goes very, very wide though. In towards 11. Does he maybe have wing damage, which could be a cause of the problem? Not looking likely on the board. So it could be just an issue of just locking up there, which he did do. And once again, it is showing that Reclusive is struggling. Fastest lap once again. Going to Bourbon Boy. Doing very, very well so far to keep up this pace. They all come crumbling down through and towards the left once again. Closing in. Through the right once again comes Rev Caterpillar and Scather. 9/10 of a second separate them. And Reclusive actually with the fastest lap, so doing very, very well on these intermediates they go. And in towards turn 1 and turn 2, a little bit of a moment there for Reclusive. They all come crumbling down once again. And in towards the right they go. Reclusive and Scather still battling away as best as they can. They come through the baseball section once again. And in towards 5th gear, in towards 6th once again for Scather. And in towards Reclusive. Reclusive 2/10 up now. Through and towards the left and in towards the right. And Reclusive getting much, much quicker right now on towards Scather. Looking for a move in the near future. Through towards the right once again. In towards the left. Scather closing and closing and closing on is Reclusive on the Alpine drivers. They all come crumbling down in towards 10. Turn 10 and 11. Scather 3/10 of a lap quicker. His intermediate times are getting quicker and quicker, and the dries, well, the dry tyres are definitely looking imminent in a couple of laps' time. Amaze coming towards the final corner, much struggling as he can, and the virtual safety car is out for whatever reason. Not quite sure why, maybe for the conditions, but no one is off on the track. The virtual safety car is out. This could mean TMS Amaze could try for the pit lane. No, he's not. He's staying on the wet compound tyres. Not sure why, but he is staying on the wet compound tyres. The virtual safety car is out on lap 8 on 29. Could be for the conditions out on track. We may never know, but Bourbon Boy now with the 22-second gap, doing absolutely fantastically so far. As they all come down in towards the left and to the right. And when will the safety car end is the question, and will anyone be caught out by it? Tom getting closer to Amaze, obviously on the quicker compounder tyres. Through into the right and through the left. Tom closing in on Amaze. As they all come through into the right once again. Closing in is Tom on Amaze. But when will this virtual safety car be turning to green is the question. Fern is into the pits, maybe to retire. It's quite far back. Not been a good day for the Mexican Magician. As they come towards the Ryan once again, where will we go? They're getting hold onto the virtual safety car for a long, long time now as they come through the right once again. through and towards the left, and we're green racing once again. A little bit of a squabble there for Tom as Reclusive lose out a lot now, down into 1 second. Here comes Tom on Amaze, still battling through in towards 10 and 11, but look how much slower TMS Amaze is on those wet compounder tyres. They are not the tyres anymore. Here comes Tom trying something down the inside maybe. TMS Amaze gives him the room around the outside, couldn't get it done. A switchback move there for Tom. They collide momentarily as TMS Amaze tries to shut him the door, can't get it done. Tom still in P3 and TMS Amaze holding up everyone. There goes Scather. Contact mid, they go 3 wide. Scather down the inside of both of them. TMS Amaze a roadblock right now as they all go 4 wide almost. As there goes Tom and Reclusive. Reclusive now into P5 and they're all battling away as TMS Amaze pushes Scather into the wall on those wet compound tyres. Not sure why he hasn't pinned it so far. They go 3 wide into turn 1 and they all make it out alive as Skill Reclusive gets up into P2. Scather in P3. TMS Amaze really causing a lot of havoc for all these drivers now in towards P5, down into P5 with Tom in P4, Maloney now in P5, TMS Amaze down in P6. Not sure why he hasn't pitted so far. Absolutely no clue there, and just losing so much time to these intermediate runners as Scather into towards P3. Reclusive now makes it a Red Bull 1-2 towards turn 2. Scather in P3, Tom in P4, Maloney in P5, TMS Amazed in P6, JT is 7th with Rev Caterpillar in P8, Mulder in P9, and Fern way down the order in P10. As you all come crumbling through, JT inevitably gets past TMS Amaze on those fresh intermediate compounder tyres, and it's definitely going to be drying up in a couple of moments now as the rain is still coming down. But for how much longer? Scather getting closer and closer to Reva, Reclusive. Meanwhile, Maloney is getting closer and closer to Tom. To come towards the right and in towards the left. They're still putting a lot of pressure on lap 11 of 29. Through towards the right they go. And in towards the left. Tom goes a little bit wide. Maloney closing in on Tom there as they come through the left and in towards the right. Maloney trying his best to keep up with Tom here as they come towards the right and in towards the back straight comes Maloney. ERS turns on for the McLaren drivers. They come towards the right now. Maloney, the fastest man on track as TMS Amaze finally pits off those wet compound of tyres. Through in towards the left they go. Rev Caterpillar now fastest with a 34.213. The intermediates, if not now, they definitely are the tyre to go on right now. And I think TMS Amaze didn't realise that and made the wrong decision for about 6-7 laps there. As they come towards the left once again, Maloney closing in on Tom. Closest battle so far for this battle for 4th and 5th, really heating up here. As they come towards the left once again, Maloney closing in on Tom as they come towards the left once again. A little bit of a wobble there for Maloney as they all come crumbling down once again. Maloney closing in on Tom. Through towards the right they go and in towards the left. Maloney closing in on Tom but not finding a way through right now. Not quite close enough to try and get the move done. Lap to 11 of 29. 12 laps to go here. And Maloney up again, 44 thousandths up so far, about 400ths up on his PB. And still closing away on Tom so far. And through the right they come, Tom and Maloney. Bourbon Boy with the fastest time, 34.122. Absolutely enjoying himself so far. 20 seconds clear of his teammate Reclusive, who's under a little bit of pressure from Scather in P3. FRT Tom in P4 battling with Maloney with JT in P6. Rev Caterpillar in P7 with Mulder in 8th. Amazed in P9 and Fern in P10. Reclusive 33.009. Closing into the 32s. Who will get it is the question. Maybe the next time. Through in towards the right they go. Once again, here comes Maloney closing in on Tom. 9/10 of a second. And Tom is definitely pushing right really hard now. To come towards the right once again. Closing in is Maloney in the McLaren. Closing in on Tom. That's Reclusive now with a 3-second penalty. It's going to cause a little bit of issue now as he is battling for P2 right now and would lose him a lot of positions right now. Maybe even down to P5, P6 almost as we look onto the leaders. And 20 seconds he would only lose 1 position. So he would stay on the podium but definitely wants as max positions as he can. Definitely for the constructors, this 1-2 may look in doubt so far. As Maloney still battling away on Tom there, through the left and through the right. Maloney closing in on Tom once again. And up towards the right-hander once again comes Maloney, still battling away on Tom. Through the right once again, Maloney closing in on Tom as much as he can. Lap 13 of 29, still wet conditions. Will we see a dry patch coming? Is the question. The rain is still coming down. And the only time for intermediate so far, we started on the wet compound tyres. But we found out the intermediates were probably best suited on about lap 4. With Tom and Bourbon Boy taking the risk, and it definitely has worked out for him. Bourbon Boy now leads by 19.5 seconds, with Tom down in P4 from jump starting the grid, which cost him there. If he did not do that, he could have been in a higher position and maybe even battling with Bourbon Boy as they come through the right once again and through in towards the left. Maloney much closer to Tom than he has been a couple of laps ago, but he's definitely much closer once again as they come through the left and through the right. In comes Maloney and Tom still battling away. 0.3 of a second now. JT with another penalty once again. And through into the left once again. And in towards the kink of a left. Maloney closing in on Tom once again. And JT closing in as well. Through in towards the left comes Maloney. Mulder with a 3-second time penalty now. Through into the right. Maloney closing in on Tom. This is time to strike in a couple of moments time. We run on boards with the McLaren driver now. Through in towards the right comes the McLaren. He's much closer to Tom than he has been on a couple of occasions. Through into the right, and the sun, you can just see there starting to come out for Maloney. You can see the patches of sunshine on the Albert Park circuit. So we could see a dry patch coming soon. Maloney now on towards the back straight once again, closing in on Tom as he comes towards the right of turn 1 once again and in towards turn 2. Maloney lucky to not cut the corner there, to not get a penalty, but goes very, very wide and does mess up a chance of an overtake down the back straight and maybe even lose that 1 second. Not quite, but JT really handing him down now. This is turning out to be a 3-horse race for P4. Here's JT getting closer and closer and closer to the back of Maloney now as they come towards the right once again, but JT trying his best to keep up with Maloney so far. Yellow flags, and that is Fern off. And that is Fern off at turn 10 and 11 and 12. Not what he wanted to be, and that could lead to him being lapped, as there is Bourbon Boy, the race leader. 18 seconds clear of Reclusive. Reclusive hounding him down on those fresh intermediates. Bourbon Boy yet to stop. Will he stop is the question, or will he try and go to the end? It's definitely possible, but it's definitely a risk. But is that a risk worth taking? As he comes towards the final corner now, Bourbon Boy rounds the final corner. Will this be a fastest lap of the race? Not looking likely as he comes towards the line now, and he is about a purple, but only 57 thousandths up on his lap time. Meanwhile, we go back to this battle with JT, Maloney and Tom. Mulder with another penalty, 5-second time penalty. Not sure what he has done to deserve that. JT, Maloney and Tom, definitely the pack worth looking at so far as they come towards the back straight once again. JT going very, very, very wobbly out of the corner there and not looking good to try and attack Maloney in towards turn 1 as he still close in. Once again comes Maloney in the McLaren. And through in towards the right comes Tom, and that is a retirement, and that is Maloney in towards the pit. So we're down in towards 9 drivers. Lap 15 of 29. Maloney in P5 with Tom in P4. Scather in P3. Reclusive in P2. Bourbon Boy in P1 by 18 seconds of a gap towards his teammate with a penalty. Reclusive knows that he's got a job to do, and he's definitely doing well to keep up with it, and he almost is closing in on Tom so far as he comes towards the right once again. Closing in as best as he can is the Finnish driver. He's still closing in on the AlphaTauri. Meanwhile, JT getting closer and closer to Maloney as well, just picking up the pace ever so slightly. 6/10 of a gap now is these two as they all come battling away, still closing in at the moment. There's another yellow flag somewhere. I'm not sure where that has happened, but just didn't catch that, I'm afraid. But somewhere along the lines, yellow flag. Not sure who for. Maybe a mistake somewhere, and that may be for Reclusive, as he's lost all his time now. 2.2 now. Had a 2.8 gap lead, but definitely Scarlett closing in as JT and Maloney still sucking this about 7/10 rat at the moment. Can't really gain anything on anyone so far as they all come crumbling away. JT on the back of Maloney. Maloney on the back of Tom. He's right on board with the McLaren now. Through and towards the right. Just Tom a little bit better on these older intermediates. But Maloney looking a little bit better out of the corners. 4/10 now is the gap between him. He's definitely putting the pressure on the AlphaTauri driver now. 4/10 clear is Tom. But this could come crumbling away as the rain starting to stop and cease fire on this Albert Park circuit. It's just about showering now and just sprinkling down with a little bit of rain, so we could see a dry patch in the not so distant future. As Maloney closing in on Tom now as they come towards the left. Once again, Maloney trying his best to keep up with Tom. Meanwhile, JT doing well to keep up. Maloney absolutely immaculates turn 10 and 11. And he's right on the back of Maloney now. 3/10 clear is Maloney, but JT definitely putting the hammer down through the right. Goes very, very wide. And that has ruined his run there. So now Maloney has a chance to keep up with Tom. And just the pressure is eased off ever so slightly. Bourbon Boy still leads as we enter lap 17 of 29. 12-13 laps to go. It's Maloney, and that is Scather into the pit lane. Is this for Dries? Is the question. This could be a very, very interesting development, and it is Dries at the Alpine camp. So we have dry tyres on for Scala. He's thinking it's time for dry tyres on towards the soft, and so does JT. JT taking the risk on the soft compound tyres as well towards the end. So Scala and JT all pitting on towards the soft compound tyres. Everyone else deciding to stay out. I still think it's a little bit too wet. The rain has stopped, but maybe it is time. The rain has just stopped now, but it is still quite wet as we run on board with Scather and JT now. A little bit hesitant on the throttle there for JT, and the DRS is now enabled. So maybe it is now time for the dry tyres, but it's definitely going to be an absolute waddle fest as we can describe it. As they all come battling away. Through to the left and through the right comes Maloney, as TMS the Maze elects for the softs as well. Bourbon Boy coming up towards the line. Still coming, and towards the soft, and there he is. On towards the softs goes the race leader. Bourbon Boy elects the pit at the end of lap 17, and onto the dries they go. Everyone deciding the dry tyres are now. Bourbon Boy is in. We're on board with Reclusive. Does he have the gap? He probably does. 18 seconds should do it. Reclusive is in. FLT Tom rounding the final corner, battling with Maloney, is in. Maloney is in as well. Everyone pitting at the end of this lap. So Bourbon Boy out he goes. Reclusive now comes back in for the Red Bull team. FLT Tom and Maloney come out 1 and 2. Who will come out better? Maloney is in. Rev Caterpillar is in. Reclusive just comes out. Tom is also in now. Maloney is released. Tom is out once again. Does he get held or does he stay in front of Maloney? He is just about behind. So Maloney still stays in. Rev Caterpillar also in. Everyone off the intermediates now and on towards the softs. Fern is now in as well. Team SMA is 1 minute behind everyone out so far as Bourbon Boy and Scather lead away 1-2 with Reclusive in P3, FLT Tom P4, JT in 5th. We're closing in so far as JT actually jumped Maloney in the pit lane, maybe making a mistake so far. So JT now up into 5th with FLT Tom still in P4 on those soft compounder tyres, and the times should be absolutely ramping up so far. Yellow flags in front. Who is that? Is that Reclusive? Yes, it is. The 1-2 was looking possible, but Reclusive not getting the jump now, and caught on a wet patch has now spun it from P2 and has lost all his time now on a penalty as well. Not looking good as Fern gets a 3-second penalty as well, and Reclusive all the way down in P6. Not a good day for him as Maloney in P5 with JT closing in P4 from FLT Tom P3. Could this be a podium? A massive slide there. Lucky to not bend it in the wall. DRS is available for the Haas. Does he want to get it done early? He thinks about it down the inside, but just backs out of it. And more yellow flags. Now it's red for Caterpillar. Wants it, no, that is Reclusive, sorry. Once again, betting it in turn 11, turn 12. And definitely struggling on these conditions now. From the intermediates to the softs is definitely looking a little bit wet still out there on the curve. Scather, fastest lap goes to him, 29.297 on the soft compound tyres. ETJT closing in on Tom, through in towards the right. Comes JT and in towards the left on FRT Tom. DRS wide open on the Haas. Does he wants to try and look for it late on? 10 laps to go, 19 of 29. Here comes JT really putting on the pressure on Tom here. As he will come batting away once again. Here comes JT on to Tom once again, still closing in is the Hasp, really hunting down the AlphaTauri right now as he comes towards the left and the right. JT putting on the pressure so much on Tom right now. 4/10, 6/10 is the gap between them now. CMS Amazes. Reclusive decides to retire in the pit lane and does not want to take part in any more action, so we're down to 8 drivers. JT putting on the pressure on Tom. Lap 19 of 29. We're heading on to lap 20 now. Baldwin Boy with the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, 27.118 goes to him. Scather in P2 and just starting to set the lap time now. Scather on towards the board now. Lap 20 of 29. We're down to the final 9 laps, and JT makes a massive mistake there. Here comes Maloney, soars through, and JT with a massive mistake at the final corner costs him a podium maybe. And Maloney goes through as well. He had a penalty anyway, but definitely could have caught it at the end, and that has ruined a chance of a podium there. Not what he wanted, and now battling away with Maloney as he comes towards the baseball section now. JT and Maloney still batting away left and right. JT with another penalty to boot as we look on the penalty situation. 9 seconds to Rev Caterpillar's 3, and also Fern with a 3 seconds, so it's not been very clean there from JT on the corner cutting front as Reclusive leaves the session. Very disappointed with that DNF early on. Coming through the right and through the left. JT really putting the pressure on these track limits. DRS wide open once again to close up to Maloney. Does he want to think about it? Looking towards the right. He has a little bit of a look, but just dives out of the way. Baldwin Boy now with a 25.848 with the fastest lap. He's absolutely cruising in front and looking likely to win this race. JT closing on Maloney. Maloney goes very, very wide. This opportunity for JT once again as they come towards the final corner, taking it nice and steady. Scather, fastest lap of the Grand Prix, 25, immediately replaced by Tom, 24.788. Maloney coming towards the line, not a fastest lap. Here comes JT, having a little bit of a look, but puts on the brakes mid-corner just to avoid a collision there. Did not want to go for it in towards turn 1, and has to think about it on another day. And in towards the right comes JT once again, closing in on Maloney. Through into the right and through in towards the left. JT closing in on Maloney. Fern now with the fastest man on track, 24.298 on the soft compound tyres. Through in towards the right they go in these overcast conditions. Very, very cold on track. As JT putting on the pressure on Maloney as much as he can. We come through the left and through the right once again. Here comes JT putting on the pressure on Maloney. Through into the left and through the light. Lap 21 of 29 coming in towards lap 22. Through into the left once again comes JT putting on the pressure on Maloney once again. 2 tenths back now. Is he close enough to try and make the moves? He's going to dive it down the inside on the McLaren driver. They make contact a little bit, but JT, is he through? Maloney's still there around the outside, but JT gets the job done. Up in towards P4 goes the Haas driver and sends it down the inside. Absolutely fantastic move there from the Haas. And now Maloney, can he respond in towards the DRS straight now? Tom with the fastest lap, 24.035. Here comes Maloney closing in on JT. Turns off the DRS to try and not make the move in towards turn 1 as they come towards turn 2. JT really putting on the pressure now for the using a lot of his DRS. Maloney just trying to conserve as best as he can. JT now well back through in towards P1. He goes P4, sorry. As he will come battling away once again. In towards the right and in towards the left. Maloney putting on the pressure on JT as best as he can. Through in towards the left. Maloney trying his best to keep it with JT as we ride on boards with Bourbon Boy. Absolutely loving everything so far. And it's definitely leading away once again. And there's the safety car. And that is JT. As I just have a look at the chat. JT has binned it. And that is a full course safety car on lap 29. Lap 22 and 29. As Bourbon Boy is in for a fresh set of the sauce. Scather also in, and we're down to 7. JT ruins a chance at a good position. And now he is down out of this race. Unfortunate to see. We have a safety car. Scather decides to stay out. Tom is in. Maloney, does he decide to stay out? No, he comes in. Rev Caterpillar, does he want to stay out? And the full course safety car is out. Rev Caterpillar stays out. TMS Amaze all the way back through. And Fern is out as well. But, and also a lap down as Scather overtakes Bourbon Boy there. Not sure what has happened there. And almost overtakes the safety car. Lucky to not get disqualified there. As we will get bunched up on the safety car for these final 2 laps. It's definitely heating up now. Bourbon Boy leads the way on fresh softs. Scather and Rev Caterpillar decide to stay out. Tom on fresh softs as well. Maloney on fresh softs. TMS Amazed is going towards the sector. Is in towards sector 2 now. Fern a lap down. Still continuing, but deciding to stay on the same softs as well. So it's Bourbon Boy's advantage as his to lose. Very, very close together now are these drivers for these last couple of laps now. This could be an absolutely fantastic end to the race here in Australia. 23 laps. We had a wet to dry period. We've come on to the dries on lap 14 around. And now we're under the safety car for the final couple of laps. 23 or 29. 6 laps to go. And this could be a very, very exciting end to the season. This could be one of the best race ends we could be. But this could be a very, very interesting end to the race. And we all come through now. Bourbon Boy leads. With Scather in second, Rev Caterpillar in third, Tom in fourth, and Maloney in fifth. TMS Amaze on fresh softs this time in P6, and Fern a lap down in P7. And we could be under the safety car for a couple more laps as we wait for TMS Amaze to join the field into lap 24 of 29. As JT leaves the session, we could be left with about 4 laps of racing. 7 drivers left in this race. Bourbon Boy does lead us away. Scather in P2, Rev Caterpillar in P3, Tom in P4, Maloney in P5, TMS Amazed in P6. As we have now the clouds decide to come off. We are left with some sunshine here in Australia. With only a handful of laps to go, this could be an absolutely fantastic end to this race. And we are still under the safety car conditions for a little bit more time. So, safety car now in this after we just took a little moment for me to just rest my voice. For these final 4 laps to go, we'll be racing lap 26 of 29. 3 laps to go. Bourbon Boy leads with Scather in P2, and this race is really heating up now. Bourbon Boy had a 20-second lead, and now it's been cut down to 2/10 with Scather in P2 aligned with Bourbon Boy to see when he will go. Bourbon Boy keeps an eye on the pack, and there is Scather, and Bourbon Boy practically overtaking him, waiting to see where he will go. And we are underway and racing once again. Bourbon Boy leads with Scather in P2, Rev Caterpillar closing in P3 with Tom in P4, Maloney in P5, Amazing P6, Fern in P7, a lap down. Scather in towards turn 1, does not get the jump he needs. Rev Caterpillar closing in on Scather and gets a brilliant exit. Does he want to try anything going in towards turn 3? He's looking for it, just can't quite find anything so far. As Fern's still battling away, but just for pride right now, he is a lap down, but guaranteed points anyway. Here comes Scather through towards the right. Rev Caterpillar follows them through in P3 with Scather in P2, but Rev Caterpillar does have that penalty, in which would launch him down back into P6. TMS Amaze gets 5th, Maloney in 4th, Tom in 3rd, Scather in 2nd, and Bourbon Boy still would take the win. Here comes Rev Caterpillar really punching his way through Scather now. He's got a really good run on the Alpine now. Scather tries to defend and tries to defend again, but can't get it done. And still Rev Caterpillar has to look at the Alpine car, and they come towards the back straight now. Rev Caterpillar with his ERS on, trying something. Meanwhile, Maloney looking for something on Tom as well. One AlphaTauri tries to battle with an Alpine, while the other AlphaTauri defends from a McLaren. Through and towards the right. They come and through into the left. Rev Caterpillar put as much pressure on, but there goes Tom trying to put some pressure on his teammate as they come through the right. Bubble away, 1 second clear now as they come on to lap 27 of 29. Here comes Tom, Bourbon Boy with the fastest lap, 23.586. As here comes Tom really battling away with his teammate now, through into the right and through into the left as he wants to let each other go. Will there be team orders? Here comes Tom looking for something on Rev. Does he want to send it down the inside? He's going to have a look down the inside. Goes Tom on his teammate. Side by side action. The AlphaTauris lock horns and a little bit of squabbling between the two. But Tom gets to still remain to be in P4 with Rev Caterpillar remaining in P3 as Maloney just trying to pick off the pieces here. And this could end badly. Rev Caterpillar have a massive moment there. And here comes Tom as the blue flags fly. Here comes Tom. Side by side action with his teammate, dives it down the inside. They're still side by side. Rev Caterpillar is still there, forces him the long way around and almost off the track, but Tom is through, gets the job done, and Maloney now putting the pressure, and there is Fern on the exit trying to get in this battle, but obviously a lap down through to the left. Fern goes through and trying to unlap himself desperately as they come through and towards the left once again. Here comes Rev Caterpillar trying something on his teammate once again, but can't quite get it done. Scather in P2, 2 seconds behind Bourbon Boy at the moment with FRT Tom in P3, Rev Caterpillar in P4 as they come towards the right. Rev Caterpillar, there's a huge crash there! And that is Rev Caterpillar out of this race on lap 27 and 29, pushing it too hard. And Rev Caterpillar out of this race with 2 laps to go. DRS is enabled now, and a huge crash there for Rev Caterpillar, which could be amazing points for AlphaTauri, which will now end up with only the one left driver with 15 points, which is Tom, which could turn in to 18 soon. And the battle for P2 really heating up. We are now down to 6. Here we go now with 2 laps to go. Bourbon Boy have a commanding lead out in front, 2.6 seconds. Here comes Tom pushing, putting the pressure on Scather now, through towards the left and through on towards the right. Tom trying his best to keep up with Scather, through towards the left and the right. Tom now 1/10 of a gap behind Scather. Does he want to send it early? He's thinking about it, but just thinks better of it. And still remains in P3 through the left and through the right. Maloney and TMS Mason, 2 McLarens locking side by side, almost trying to get close to each other. TMS Amaze doing well so far from where he came from. Through towards the left and through towards the right. Tom really on the back of the Alpine now, trying his best to get into a P2 position. Through and towards the right. ETE Scala trying his best to hold firm to try and keep this championship lead in sight for the ETE team in the Esports Championship. As Fern overtakes Rev Caterpillar, still not Still a lap down, but may just stay that way as he enters the final lap of the Grand Prix. Here we go. Bourbon Boy starts the final lap. It's now or never for Tom for this P2. Here we go then into turn 1. Scather still remains in the lead with Tom in P3 with Maloney closing now. Here comes Tom getting closer and closer to Scather. Side by side action. They come in towards turn 4. Scather sends him the long way around, but shuts the door firmly. Tom trying it down the inside once again. They lock horns once again. Scather versus Tom. They're still side by side as almost Tom squeezes through the tiniest gap, and Scather is down into P3. Tom gets the job done. Now Maloney closing in firm with another penalty. Scather now has to push on Tom through these final couple of corners. He has to send it on towards the back straight. He cannot mess up once, as 3.6 seconds now is the gap between Tom and Bourbon Boy, and now Scather losing a lot of time. Here comes Maloney closing in on the Alpine. This could still turn out to be opponents. They come towards the left and towards the right. Tom in P2 with Scather in P3. Bourbon Boy in P1 and looking likely to win this race, and Scather's time may be up. He cannot get that P2 he needs, and this could be the end. And Scather could be walking away with only 15 points. But we move on to this man here, Bourbon Boy. Absolutely fantastic race he has. And it's Bourbon Boy who comes through the final corner. He's had to wait a while, but Bourbon Boy wins the Australian Grand Prix with Tom finishing in P2. Scather in P3 just holds it at the end of the line with Maloney in P4. TMSMAs will finish in P5 and Fern will finish last in P6, a lap down. But that was a really, really good end to the race. And a very, very interesting race to boot. Bourbon Boy, driver of the day. Absolutely brilliant race he has had today. And takes a win today here in Australia. An absolutely fantastic race today, which sees Bourbon Boy on the top step up the podium for the first time this season. And gets the job done with P1 here in Australia. So here they are then. Confirmation. Bourbon Boy is your Australian Grand Prix winner with FRT Tom getting P2 on the last lap, with Scather just ending up in P3 there from pole position. Maloney ends up P4 with TMSMAs in P5, Fern in P6, and your retirements for Rev, Caterpillar, JT, Reclusive, Mulder and Leopard on lap 1. So, to point you in the right direction, we have Portimao next up on the 13th of February. An absolutely fantastic race. And then we head to dreaded Monaco on the 20th of February. An absolutely treat we have in store for you there. And then Canada on the 27th. Great Britain and France. And then we take a slight break until we return to Netherlands in a couple of days' time. But that has been the Australian Grand Prix. A very, very good end to that race with the safety car late on. But it is Bourbon Boy who takes the win here in Australia. An absolutely fantastic race it was. I have been PSR Jish once again on your commentary screens. I will see you very soon. Take care and good night.